there have been countless videos talking about the strongest Uber. I don't feel the need to add my own, nor do I feel qualified to add my own. The strongest few Ubers are so similarly utterly broken but in completely different ways that any of like the top 10 Ubers can all be argued to be the absolute best, and at that point the discussion devolves into nitpicking for flaws and personal preference. I don't like that kind of discussion, and I haven't actually seen anyone talk about the well-designed and balanced Ubers. And I do think there are quite a few genuinely fun and well-designed Ubers that just go under the radar because their cool designs are overshadowed by much more broken Ubers. And if no one else is gonna start the discussion, I'll do it myself. What is the best designed Uber? Before I start actually talking about Ubers, I should first clarify that this isn't going to be some kind of ranking, since I don't really have a specific criteria, and the fact that people tend to just take the rank itself as absolute fact and ignore the nuance that goes into the ranking. I'm just going off general gut feel, playstyle, balance, and fun, and to a small extent, animations and sprites. This is, again, my personal preference, so naturally take this with a bit of your preferred flavoring agent, and please feel free to add on your own in the comments. Please do actually, this is a very open-ended topic that can have many perfectly valid but ultimately still different opinions, and I think the discussion will be fun. So I'll just start with the one that prompted me to make this video and my personal choice for best designed Uber, Gundurus. Gundurus Therion is an extreme version of Crazed Bahamut. Gundurus has 500 range and deals 70,000 damage at level 30. He also has massive damage against Black and Alien, and guaranteed knockback, Lamau, and slow for 8 whole seconds before treasures. Wave Immune is there too, I guess. So what's the problem? 14 seconds TBA and almost 8 seconds of Force Swing. His mobility also generally sucks, which makes him insufferable to use outside of his targets, even if his general DPS is actually pretty good for his 500 range. But that pure damage is utterly insane. That damage is enough to easily kill Ultra Baba barriers at level 30 with COTC 1 treasures. This amount of damage per hit, as far as I can recall, is rivaled by only Last Boss, and that requires Savage Blow RNG. If you can get him to land his hits, the reward is utterly insane. Almost 20,000 DPS at 500 range with 280,000 damage per hit is utterly obscene. And keep in mind, this is level 30 stats. At level 50, he can deal an obscene 440,000 damage with almost 32,000 DPS. Nothing will survive at that point. If he can land his attacks, that is. And that's the fun part. The rest of his kit is either made to play around or balance this. When he hits an enemy, he will knock it back by damage, but if he somehow doesn't, he also has the knockback ability, which pushes the enemies out of his range. Once out of range, with treasures, they are then slowed for 9.6 seconds, which is more than enough for Gundurus to already start attacking again. Defend him while not knocking back the enemy again within that 5-ish seconds, and he will land the hit again, and repeat this 2 to 3 more times until the enemy dies. In an emergency, he is also perfectly capable of face tanking hits due to his surprisingly high bulk, and has a Conjurer to get the enemies off of him. His entire kit is so perfectly tailored towards the baiting playstyle that I mentioned in my video about frame data. That moment when Gundurus lands the hit is so supremely satisfying is partly because the reward is just that high, but also partly because you actually had to work to get it. And this is why I love him so much. He has such a high ceiling and is so unique, yet his flaws are also really insane that people generally consider him to be balanced or potentially even on the lower end of Ubers. This, in my opinion, is what peak design looks like. The next Uber I want to talk about is Misley. Misley is a well-known anti-alien CC unit that has resist, guaranteed knockback, and slow against alien. Whenever Misley is brought up, there is a phenomenon commonly cited as Misley syndrome that is obviously named after her, which basically pushes the enemy frontliners back so that your backliners walk into enemy backliner range and get themselves killed. But I'll go into more detail about Misley syndrome in another video about knockback as a whole another time. And CanJuice also already made a video about it that you can watch if you're interested. But me personally, I believe this is way over exaggerated for various reasons that I'll get into in that video. Misley can actually be a powerful CC unit if you use her properly, pairing her with either disposable units that can be easily replaced when one dies, or LD snipers that don't really mind knockback, making conventional attackers miss. In other words, it's skill issue if you die from Misley syndrome and you have to work around it, which makes it fun. It's rewarding if you play around it, potentially actively bad if you don't, which is what I consider to be good design. If you make it work, her guaranteed knockback plus slow is incredibly powerful and satisfying, and its consistency brings unique strengths that can't be easily replicated by most non-Uber options. The last one I want to discuss in detail here is Light Mother Aset, who just got a true form in 14.4. Aset is the Colossus Slayer of the Almighties, even if she is actually pretty bad against the Baron bosses. Aset is a rapidly attacking burst pusher that relies on Strengthen and a guaranteed level 3 wave to get good damage output. She has very high HP, but pretty mediocre damage output even accounting for her guaranteed wave, even for her now solid 350 range. Even worse for a pusher is rapid attacks, meaning that one attack may not knock back all the enemies and actually let her push. And rapid attacks also means that she doesn't immediately front load her damage before dying reasonably quickly. Although in true form, thanks to 350 range and a significant health boost, she doesn't die as quickly. Her Strengthen elevates her damage output to be about 11.5k DPS, noticeably better than an untalented Eyewaltz, albeit with only 2 knockbacks remaining. She's pretty powerful when angry, but her damage per hit is still pretty lacking since each hit only deals 11k damage. This leads to either her not having enough damage to properly knock back the enemy, or just enough damage to knock back the enemy with the main attack so the wave misses it. So this 11k DPS isn't as accurate as you might expect. It may seem simple enough as a generically good mid-range attacker, but there is something that is unique to her, which is that she is one of the best peon clearers in the game. This may not seem like that huge of a deal, but it kind of is. You can consistently keep the battlefield clear of weak peons, thanks to her rapid attacks and constant waves, plus her 350 range actually makes her survive noticeably longer than the most similar non-Uber comparison, which is Hermit. She can survive actually pretty long and consistently keep the battlefield clear of weak peons for your powerful attackers that might have accuracy issues like nukers without LD, as well as single target attackers such as Barlock and especially Kankan, who might miss her 60k nuke on the main boss that you might be aiming at because of peons. Now if you're wondering why not just use Slime, well, Slime definitely has strengths as a peon clearer, but it doesn't outclass Aset, instead offering an alternative or even providing synergy. While Slime is much cheaper, has much faster cooldown and higher damage per hit, Aset offers actual health for tanking purposes and consistency in attacks. In fact, these two even have some level of synergy with each other instead of just outclassing one another. Aset can clear the way for Slime to not get randomly sniped by weaker peons and let it actually hit the main target for potential double damage, while Slime can help Aset knock back bulkier peons so Aset can actually push. Also, since Aset in pre-true form is usable, although not as good, there is earlier game usage before Slime is available where Aset excels, especially because early mid-game is absolutely infested with weak peons, where, well, Aset excels. And besides, comparing Aset to one of the best, most dominant and ubiquitous units in the game that marks the age of power creep itself is not really fair. We also probably don't want anything as dominant as slime in the modern meta, so it's probably for the best that Asset can't really do as well as slime. That's the 3 Ubers that I want to talk about here in this video, but like I said earlier, there are plenty of Ubers with very cool designs that just get overshadowed by more powerful ones that honestly I hope this discussion can bring to light. And again, this is also my personal opinion. Do not take my words too seriously. Do not go and worship Gundurus because of this video. Worship Gundurus because you genuinely personally enjoy Gundurus. And honestly, go form your own opinions about what you consider to be the best designed Uber or what is your favorite Uber. From the people I've asked around, their preferences and criteria are different, and that's perfectly normal and should be encouraged. While one definitive criteria is great to ensure objectivity, this subject of a favorite/best designed Uber is inherently very subjective, and having one singular definitive criteria will just drive discussion in one single direction and cause people to not think for themselves and instead just accept the opinions of one individual. I'm not naming any names. And the point of this video is to facilitate discussion, so please form your own opinions and discuss them in the comments. Or whatever medium you prefer, really. If this reaches the community at large on Reddit or Discord or something, that would be great. And alright, enough of that. That should be about all for this video, so thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed. Bye for now, you'll see me in the next video.